Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pariprajakacharya Astottara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 74, verses 51 and 52. We don't have it on the board, so you can look that up on your cell phones for the chanting. 10:74:51. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloka Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangulangayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurundinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Isharam Om Agyanatimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Ramapad Swami Iti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Sarasate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarine. Rajasuya Vabritena Snato Raja Yudhishthiraha Brahmashatra Sabha Madhye Shushube Suraradiva Rajasuya Vabrityena Snato Raja Yudhishthiraha Brahmashatra Sabha Madhye Shushube Suraradiva Rajasuya Vabrityena Snato Raja Yudhishthiraha Brahmashatra Sabha Madhye Shushube Suraradiva. Please chant. Rajasuya, of the Rajasuya sacrifice. Avabhrityena, the final Avabhritya ritual. Snataha, bathed. Raja Yudhishthiraha, King Yudhishthir. Brahmashatra, of Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. Sabha, of the assembly. Madhye, in the midst. Shushube, he appeared brilliant. Sura, of the demigods. Rata, the king, Lord Indra. Eva, like. Translation by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Purified in the final Avabhritya ritual, which marked the successful completion of the Rajasuya sacrifice, King Yudhishthir shone among the assembled Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, like the king of the demigods himself. And verse 52. Translation reads, "The demigods, humans, and residents of intermediate heavens, all properly honored by the king, happily set off for their respective domains, while singing the praises of Lord Krishna and the great sacrifice." Purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. According to Sridhar Swami, the term Kecharaha here refers to the pramatas, mystic yogis, who accompany Lord Shiva. Both verses together. Purified in the final Avabritya ritual, which marked the successful completion of the Rajasuya sacrifice, King Yudhishthira shone among the assembled Brahmanas and Kshatriyas like the king of the demigods himself. The demigods, humans, and residents of intermediate heavens, all properly honored by the king, happily set off for their respective domains while singing the praises of Lord Krishna and the great sacrifice. So in a commentary to the 52nd verse, Srila Jiva Goswami comments, also praising the sacrifice because of its connection with Lord Krishna. So, before I get ahead of myself, today is noteworthy. It is the disappearance day of Ramananda Roy, and we will also later this morning be celebrating the Vyas Puja of Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj. So, I'll give a little bit of discussion about that after I comment on the verse. So, Jiva Goswami has commented that the sacrifice is worthy of praise because of its connection to Krishna. We can easily understand that Krishna is praiseworthy and why Krishna is praiseworthy. But we should also understand that the things associated with Krishna, the people associated with Krishna, are also praiseworthy. This is the conclusion of our acharyas. Because things associated with Krishna are worshipable or praiseworthy, we can understand that Krishna's abode, his associates, his paraphernalia, and his pastimes are all indeed praiseworthy. Books about Krishna are worshipable, and even those who are always remembering Krishna and speaking about Krishna are praiseworthy because of their association with Krishna. In this age, one thing that we can understand is the only thing that is actually worth doing in this age, really in any age, is that which is aimed at pleasing Krishna. If it's not pleasing to Krishna, it's not worth doing. I had a devotee say that to me in almost those exact same words yesterday or the day before. If it's not pleasing to Krishna, then it's just not worth doing. So in this age, each age has its own specific way that is the best way to praise Krishna, or the way that he has decided is appropriate for that age. So in this age, we have the Harinam Sankirtan movement. And the Sankirtan movement is also it's a worshipable thing. It's a very wonderful thing. Not just because it's the Yuga Dharma, but because it has to do with Krishna. when we go out and chant, distribute books, when we actually participate in the Yoga Dharma, we're directly in contact with Krishna. Krishna is there. He's present in his form as his own holy name. And Krishna is also present in this age in the Bhagavatam, another special feature of this age is we have the Bhagavatam recorded, which is, according to Srila Sanatana Goswami, in the Krishna Lila Stava, accepted as Krishna himself. Not everyone has the chance to go on the altar and perform Seva Puja to Krishna. Not everyone has the ability to meditate in a very fixed and focused way. But anyone and everyone have the ability to come in contact with Krishna in the form of his name. Doesn't matter if one is a pure devotee or the most fallen and sinful person of this age. Anyone can chant Krishna's name. Anyone can read and hear the glories of Krishna. Anyone can distribute a book. Anyone can receive a book. This Sankirtan movement is for everybody. It's not just for those who are worthy of association, those who are even a little bit purified. If that was the case, I wouldn't be sitting here. The Sankirtan movement is all-pervading and accessible to anybody who is willing to participate. That is the entrance fee, is our willingness. So that makes it a very wonderful thing. We're very fortunate, despite all of the difficulties in the age of Kali, despite the quarrel and hypocrisy, all of the horrible things that are constantly going on, and despite the fact that it continues to get worse and will continue to get worse for quite some time, we have this immense boon. It's our great fortune. So just this past weekend, I was fortunate that there was a couple days that weren't raining like anything, that I could go and do some book distribution. Not too far away, nowhere fancy, just a mile down the road from the temple at a transit stop. But it was very relishable. The transit stops are actually really nice place to, because there's so many people that have to be there. They have to walk by the books, and it catches the eye of quite a few people. So I had the pleasure of distributing some books, but I also had the pleasure of helping some other people engage in book distribution. There's a couple nice devotees who had expressed some interest in joining me, and it was very nice watching them learn to do book distribution. Sometimes there's this almost stigma around it, that it's hard, or there has to be some special knowledge or something. But anybody, as far as I can tell, anybody is capable of distributing books. There's that child somewhere in the world that's been honored this year for distributing how many thousands of books in a short period of time. I don't remember the exact numbers, but a child, maybe no more than 12 years old, distributing thousands and thousands of books. It's really, incredible thing. That's a 44 volume set of Bhagavatam, if you count each individual book, and then 20 or so more books a day, I think for 6 months to get the number that he got. Really far out. And actually, it wasn't just these devotees distributing books. It wasn't me distributing books. One of my favorite tricks for book distribution is convincing somebody that doesn't want a book to take a book anyway to give to somebody else that they know would enjoy the book. If they divulge to me, my girlfriend would like this, or I have a friend that's into meditation, then I immediately stop trying to distribute to them, and my only avenue of attack is, well, why don't you get it for your friend? Your friend would really appreciate it, or your girlfriend would think, oh, how sweet, you got a book for me. And they get the opportunity as well to engage, not just by saying Krishna's name, which I also try to encourage people to do, but by also helping and distributing books. The special aspect of the Sankirtan movement is that the more we try to give Krishna to other people, the more Krishna gives himself to us. The more we try to engage other people in chanting, the more we are able to chant ourselves. Krishna is very reciprocal with us in that way. So we're actually very fortunate to be able to take birth in this age where Krishna's mercy is so easily attained. There are so many people, though, in this age that are completely deluded and confused. They don't know the actual purpose of their life. I ask so many people when I distribute books or when I meet new people what they think the purpose of life is and how that purpose is attained. And practically nobody knows the answer to that. Just yesterday I was discussing with one man how one can know God in truth. He agreed that it's not by the ascending process, and it's not by process of elimination that we can come to know God. But by observing that these two ways weren't going to work, he still couldn't find the actual method of understanding God. So when I shared with him in detail what the process of descending knowledge means, it was, it appeared to be at the very least eye-opening for him. There's so many people that see God as very mysterious. They don't realize, they don't know, they don't think that God has revealed himself willingly for anyone who's sincere enough to seek him out. They just leave it as a big question mark. Who is God? What does he look like? What is he doing? Where is he? Etc. Even if they believe in God, they aren't necessarily sure of the details. It's kind of like, I know New York City exists, but I've never been there. So I don't really know what the details of that place are. I know maybe one or two small things, but those are more speculation because I haven't seen from myself. But when I hear about New York City from somebody who's been there, then I have a little bit more knowledge, I have a little bit more information. But if I start making assumptions, if I start speculating on what New York City is, then I don't really know anything. So this man was actually in a bit of despair because he felt that there might not be even one person who knows the absolute truth, or knows, these intimate details about God. He shared that he has a love of knowledge, a love of learning, but he has a really strong distrust for systems that expect blind faith, expect blind following. There's so many people that we find in that same position. Without proper knowledge, though, one's life is actually devoid of purpose. I've noticed a lot of younger people are feeling more and more like that. They don't know what the actual meaning of life is. I remember when I was a child, the meaning that was fed to me was, you go to school, you get a job, you have a career and a family, you go to church on Sundays and love God in this kind of vague way where you say, I love God, and then you love God. And that's, you buy a house and a car and do all of those things. And that's what life is. And then you die and you go to heaven because you said, I love God, and that's it. But in light of, the last 20 years or so, a lot of those things become more difficult and continue to become more difficult for young people to change. The housing market is, someone my age, it's very rare to be owning a house, where 50 years ago, it was common by the time you're 32, own your home, have a mortgage and all of that. But inflation hasn't been so kind to the younger generations. So this is causing some apathy, some disdain, some anxiety amongst the younger generations what to do. If I don't have the ability to do what my parents did and what society tells me I should do, then what is the meaning of life? And there are so many cheaters, so many liars, so many charlatans that are misguiding anyone who is willing to listen. There's so many leading others down a path of continuation of what's already has them feeling so tired and despondent. But the glory of the Sankirtan movement is that by the mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of Prabhupada, by the mercy of the entire Guru Parampara, there is knowledge of what is actually important, what the actual purpose of life is. And we're not charging a fee. There's no bar for entrance. It's not a very difficult thing. It's not exclusively available only to select people. It's widely available and freely given. The Bhagavatam says that truth is reality distinguished from illusion. But this isn't such an easy thing for most people because they have no way of making that distinction. Even for devotees, sometimes the sum of knowledge given can be very difficult to wrap our heads around. Every time one reads the Bhagavad Gita, more is revealed little by little. But Prabhupada's made things so simple and easy to understand that anyone is able to learn, anyone is able to read and understand according to their own capacity. And he's written his books in such a way that as one understands, as one realizes, as one grows and matures, that reading those same books will reveal more knowledge that wasn't understood the first or the second or the 25th time that one reads. So, by the logic of this verse, then, anyone who is attempting to engage in the Sankirtan movement is also praiseworthy because of their association with Krishna, because of their desire to try to please Krishna, because they're participating in the Yuga Dharma, because they're vibrating Krishna's name, which means they are associating with Krishna. Krishna is so merciful that even trying to think about and plan how to participate in the Sankirtan movement, regardless of success or failure, if one plans and attempts, that we can become purified in that way. Desire alone to serve and please Krishna is pleasing to Krishna. By assisting others, even though we might not directly participate in chanting or book distribution or anything like that, just trying to help somebody do that is another avenue for one to get the mercy of Krishna. This is Mahaprabhu's special mercy in this age, that Krishna Prema becomes very accessible. He's willing to give it to anyone. The only thing that he requires is their desire to accept it. That's the only difficulty he faces, is not everybody is willing to accept. So, for the sake of time, I have some more notes on this, but we're going to skip ahead a little bit. Today is the Vyas Puja celebration of His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj. So he was, give a little bit of detail about him. He was born to a Canadian Roman Catholic family, and in his youth he spent 7 years of his undergraduate studies in seminary before he got a Bachelor's of Arts at a university in 1968 with a major in philosophy and social psychology. He served as a social worker and a counselor from 1968 to 1971. And he joined the Hare Krishna movement in 1974 when he was initiated as Raghava Pandit Das. From 74 to 76, he served in ISKCON, Ottawa. And from 1976 to 1992, Maharaj resided in India, pioneering a Bhakti program and the Namhata preaching program in Mayapur. He also developed the Bhaktivedanta Youth Services from ISKCON Calcutta. He took sannyas on Gaur Purnim of 1985. From 1993 to 2000, he served as the co-GBC for ISKCON Canada and as the temple president for ISKCON Montreal. For 4 years, Maharaj was based in Indonesia, where he developed and oversaw 6 rural community projects, in addition to youth hostels. In 2004, he completed his master's in education, cum laude, which I think is right behind valedictorian, isn't it? Anyway, it's distinguishable. He wrote a thesis entitled Comparative Study of Gurukul and Pundak Pisantren, something like that. A case study of 3 Gurukuls in India and 3 Pundak something or other in Indonesia. In 2006, Maharaj became involved with preaching activities and community development in Cambodia. He started an NGO called the Global Varnashram Educational Social Cultural Organization, GLOVESCO. Nice acronym. At that same time, Maharaj returned to India and began to spearhead and develop a rural project in South India, where courses on the Varnashram College were introduced. He established the Varnashram Development Committee for India in 2007. In 2009, he became the National Minister for Daiva Varnashram, the Daiva Varnashram Ministry. During the early days in Mayapur, Maharaj lost a leg due to an attack on the Mayapur temple by some dacoits. However, in spite of this handicap, he continues to travel extensively. Maharaj serves as a prime example of a devotee who's sacrificed very greatly for Krishna, despite the difficulty of sacrificing his leg for Krishna, literally. He remains very resolute in his service. So now something brief on Ramananda Roy. So during the time of Mahaprabhu, there was a devotee by the name of Bhavananda Roy. Bhavananda had 5 sons, and the eldest was called Ramananda. It's actually said that Lord Chaitanya would visit the birthplace of Ramananda Roy every year. Ramananda was the governor of the East and West Godavari and a minister to King Prataparudra. He was a notable statesman, but also a poet and a scholar. When Bhavananda met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu embraced him and said, "Formerly you appeared as Pandu, and your 5 sons appeared as the 5 Pandavas." The 5 sons of Bhavananda Roy were Ramananda Roy, Patanyayak Gopinath, Kalanidhi, Shudanidhi, and Nayaka Vaninath. The Guru Ganadesh Dipika states that Ramananda Roy was Arjuna in Krishna Lila. He was one of the most confidential devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu said, "Although I am a sannyasi, my mind is sometimes perturbed when I see a woman, but Ramananda Roy is greater than me, for he is always undisturbed, even when he touches a woman." This is the great potency of Ramananda Roy. In Lord Chaitanya's final pastimes, both Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar were always engaged in reciting suitable verses from Srimad Bhagavatam to pacify the Lord in his ecstatic feelings of separation from Krishna. When Lord Chaitanya was about to leave for South India, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya advised him to meet Ramananda Roy. He declared that there was no devotee as advanced in understanding the conjugal love of Krishna and the gopis. While touring South India, Lord Chaitanya met Ramananda Roy on the banks of the Godavari. There they had a long discussion in which the Lord took the role of a student and Ramananda Roy instructed him. Lord Chaitanya concluded these discourses by saying, "My dear Ramananda Roy, both you and I are madmen, and therefore we met intimately on an equal level." Lord Chaitanya advised Ramananda Roy to resign his government post and come back to Jagannath Puri to live with him. It was Ramananda Roy who tactfully arranged a meeting between Lord Chaitanya and King Parata Parudra of Orissa. Ramananda Roy was present when Lord Chaitanya performed his water sports after the Rath Yatra festival. Lord Chaitanya considered Ramananda Roy and Sanatana Goswami to be equal in their renunciation. Although Ramananda Roy was a Grihasta engaged in government service, and Sanatana Goswami was in the renounced order of life, completely detached from material activities, they were both servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and kept Krishna in the center of their activities. Ramananda Roy was one of 3.5 personalities with whom Lord Chaitanya discussed most confidential topics of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya advised Pradyumna Mishra to learn the science of Krishna from Ramananda Roy. As Subal was always assisting Krishna in his dealings with Radharani and Krishna Lila, Ramananda Roy assisted Lord Chaitanya in his feelings of separation from Krishna. Ramananda Roy was also the author of Jagannath Vallabha Nataka, which has also been given by Tamal Krishna Goswami as the drama of Lord Jagannath. So, from this verse, from the comments on this verse, we understand how Krishna is praiseworthy and how those things in connection with Krishna are praiseworthy. So I've tried just a little bit to give some praise to some personalities who are in connection with Krishna and hopefully encourage some people to also engage in that connection process for this age with Krishna so that they too can become praiseworthy. With that, we have some time for comments. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.